Isn't it sad that this is most likely the most fun movie of the year so far? So Fast and Furious presents Hobbs Shaw is the first spin-off from the Fast and Furious franchise, and this is about lawman Luke Hobbs and outcast Declan Shaw, who form an unlikely alliance when a cyber-genetically enhanced villain threatens the future of humanity. Now, if that description doesn't tell you enough already, you can clearly tell that this movie just isn't even bothered about seriousness or even any kind of grounded reality, because this is a Fast and Furious movie. Fast and Furious movies are not exactly known for their realism, and this movie, being a spin-off of that franchise starring two of the fan-favorite characters, doesn't even take that into consideration at all. This is literally Fast and Furious turned up to 11. If you thought Fast and Furious 8 or The Fate of the Furious, whatever you want to call it, if you thought that movie was ridiculous, you need to see Hobbs & Shaw, because it takes it up to a whole new level. So talking about The Rock and Jason Statham in this movie as Luke Hobbs and Declan Shaw respectively, they work brilliantly in this film. I feel like them two as a pair, they were easily the standouts of Fast and Furious 8. They were the two things in that film that really stood out as very, very vital and entertaining parts of that film. So putting them as a spin-off was definitely a good idea, because I was never particularly excited about the idea of a Hobbs spin-off, but when you throw Shaw into it, that definitely added a bit more levity to it for me, and their chemistry was very, very prevalent on screen. They're very fun to watch, they're very entertaining to watch. You have many scenes in this movie which is literally just them two arguing and throwing insults at each other, and it's extremely entertaining, it's extremely funny, and it's just because their chemistry works so well, they bounce off of each other extremely well, and them two together in this film are brilliant leads, because they kind of are foils for each other as well. You have Hobbs being the, big muscle, and then you have Deckard, who's a bit more with finesse, a bit more skilled and a bit more stealthy, so they're kind of foils for each other, both in skill type and also personality. We also get the new addition of Vanessa Kirby as Hattie Shaw, which is Deckard's sister in the movie, and she was great. I've been waiting for Vanessa Kirby to get another role like this. I loved her in Mission Impossible Fallout, so seeing her return here in Hobbs & Shaw is a great thing to watch. I really liked her in this. Not only was she able to hold her own in regards to personality to The Rock and Jason Statham, which is that's pretty difficult to do, but also in the action sequences she really held her own. She had a very unique style. She was very much she fought kind of like Black Widow, and I thought that was really interesting, and I really liked her fighting style as well. She was just a really nice, third party to bring into the mix of this film with The Rock and Jason Statham. I think she played very well with Jason Statham. I kind of bought that they were brother and sister, especially with the kind of little flashbacks you get in this movie. I really enjoyed just her kind of personality being woven into this already pretty competitive field in terms of big personalities. And the biggest personality of all of them might just be Idris Elba as the villain Brixton. Idris Elba in this movie is just brilliant. He just completely eats up everything that he is given in this movie, because he is literally a super villain in this movie. We've seen, superhero-esque elements in the Fast and Furious franchise before, like when Dom just did that jump across the bridge in 6. Like, we've seen things like that, but this is a full-blown superhero with superpowers, and this is where, you have to just disregard and just, don't even think about the movie whatsoever, because this idea of this character is ridiculous, and Idris Elba just completely owns it. He is so aware of what movie he's in, he's so aware of what role he's playing, and he completely eats it up. He's so much fun in this movie. You can tell he's having a blast playing this role. His lines are just the most corny, hammy thing you've ever seen, and it's just brilliant. It's beautiful to watch. His fight scenes are great, his chemistry is fantastic, his energy is great, his charisma is fantastic. I just think that Idris Elba was perfect for this, and just a really great showcase, because Idris Elba never really gets the appreciation he deserves, and even though this is not exactly, a great showcase movie, in terms of his performance, you can definitely see his energy and his charisma just completely on display. And the action scenes, while not particularly outstanding, are a lot better than what you get in most Hollywood movies these days. I mean, granted, they're not up to the standard of things like The Raid or The Night Comes For Us or anything like that, but they are definitely a lot better than most action scenes that you get in Hollywood these days. You kind of are able to see what's going on. It doesn't seem to cut as often, although it still does cut more than I'd like it to. It's a lot less than what you would expect from most films these days. And the dialogue, while absolutely terrible, does fit this movie extremely well. The dialogue is completely, campy, it's hammy, it's just exactly what you would expect from this film. And again, it's not particularly good. I wouldn't even say it's remotely good, but again, for this movie, it kind of fits. And I don't know if that's a positive or a negative. I'll just leave that up to you guys to decide. Now, moving over to the bad points, for one, Eiza Gonzalez is extremely underused in this movie, and this is unfortunately a recurring theme with Eiza Gonzalez as a whole. She is a brilliant actress who I really like. She's extremely likable. I loved her in Baby Driver, and I loved her for her little role in this movie, but she just gets nothing to do. Like, she really gets nothing to play with in this movie, and it's a real shame because she's a great talent. I can't wait to see what she does, and hopefully someone does give her a big role at one point. But just in this film, I was expecting something bigger from her, given the fact that she's on the poster, but she doesn't get much to do, and it's just a shame. Also, there is a specific plot line between Hobbs and Hattie Shaw, which I won't go into for spoilers, but it just was a bit forced to me. I didn't feel like it was necessary. It didn't really add anything to the movie, and it just kind of felt like they threw it in there because they felt like they had to, and I didn't enjoy it at all. It felt forced, it felt weird, and it just didn't feel natural at all. Also, as a Fast and Furious fan, I'm not exactly a huge fan of what they've done with the character of Declan Shaw, played by Jason Statham. This character started out as a villain. This is a bad guy. Like, he has done some bad things. He killed Han at the end of Tokyo Drift, and he did a lot of bad things in 7. And then in 8, they kind of made him they kind of redeemed him in some way, which I never agreed with. Especially him at the end of the movie being invited to the barbecue with the family made no sense at all. And in this movie, he's kind of like a good guy now, and I just don't understand why they did that. Obviously, they did that twist where you realize that he wasn't actually that bad. He was kind of working for the government in another way. But it was so strange to me just watching this character who started off as an extremely evil character just turn into this. It does feel like a retcon, and again, it's entertaining, and I do enjoy his character in this movie, but when you just look at him in the other movies in the franchise, it just doesn't line up, and it doesn't quite fit or have that natural progression that it really should do at this point. And you've probably heard about a couple of cameos in this movie. The cameos for me were definitely surprising, but I wasn't a huge fan of them because they kind of were completely random, completely out of place, and they kind of were very distracting to me because they are two pretty high-profile actors, and I didn't really enjoy their presence in the film because they didn't really add anything, and they just kind of came across as these just distractions that you threw into the movie. I mean, they both have plot function, but it just kind of came across as like that plot function was put into the movie because of the cameo, if you get what I'm saying. And I just didn't think that was worth it. I didn't really feel like it worked for the movie in particular, especially there's one more than the other. I was just like, what is the point of just having this character just so we can get to this other thing? It's just, I felt it was completely pointless. And again, just having star power in there for the sake of having star power. Now, moving over to the enjoyment side of this review, obviously this is where Hobbs & Shaw completely comes to play. This movie has one job, and that one job is to entertain you, and does it do that? Hell yes. This film is absolutely entertaining. It's borderline the most entertaining film of the year. And I mean, that's not exactly a hard job given the fact of how 2019 has been so far, but it is so damn entertaining. This movie is just the perfect embodification of a popcorn flick. This is a movie you go, you stuff popcorn in your face, you get a big fat drink, and you just enjoy everything that's happening on screen. I watched this movie in IMAX. It was brilliant in IMAX. It's one of those films that you just absolutely eat up and just have a great time with. You don't think about it. You don't think about the logic. You don't think about the physics. You don't think about the script. You just look at the enjoyment of the film, and you just look at how fun it is. And this movie is extremely fun. It's so much fun. Just the script alone is extremely entertaining. The chemistry between The Rock and Jason Statham is there to live for. Also, the action, again, although it's not as good as I would have liked and hoped, especially coming from David Leitch as the director, it's still a lot better than a lot of action movies you get these days. And just from a pure action standpoint, this movie, while extremely ridiculous and off the wall, it's just so damn fun to watch. And again, from an enjoyment standpoint, this movie is just so much fun, and I would definitely give it a watch from an entertainment standpoint. Overall, Hobbs & Shaw was exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's a ridiculous spin-off from a ridiculous franchise, and it wears it on its sleeve. Again, you need to know that going into this movie. If you're not on board with this movie within the first 5 minutes, you're not going to be on board with it at all. It's just one of them things that you have to accept what it is, and you have to just ride with it. And if you're not with that, you're not going to like the movie. If you are with it, you're going to love the movie. So honestly, it depends on what kind of person you are and how tolerant you are to these kind of things. But overall, I think Hobbs & Shaw is an extremely fun experience. It's one of the most fun experiences I've had at the cinema all year so far, and I feel like Hobbs & Shaw, while not a great movie by any stretch, it's not even a good movie, it's not even a fine movie, it's honestly terrible. It's just so entertaining, and the fact that it just knows how bad it is and just kind of like has no regard for that and just wants to entertain the audience, I kind of have a respect for that, and that's why I kind of have a respect for the franchise as a whole. So for me, Hobbs & Shaw was a very entertaining cinematic experience. I've seen it twice now, and I'm honestly not object to seeing it again. I think it's just a great time, a great fun film that I really enjoyed, and I think you will too. So have you guys seen Hobbs & Shaw? If you have, make sure to let me know all your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let's have a conversation about this movie in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, if you want to see more movie reviews from me, be sure to subscribe, and hope to see you guys again next time.